Hey everybody, Temple Crazed here. How's it going, peeps? Let's see here. Let's close that. Ah, Temple Crazed. Anyway, how is people's doing? How are people's doing? If you've never been into one of my streams before, welcome in. Uh, we're kind of chill here, but anyway, don't forget to, if you like this, like it, do the comment thing, subscribe. You know the drill. Share the link. You know, all that stuff. I shouldn't have to do it every time, but we do. We have to do it every time because, YouTube algorithms and stuff. The things that, But yeah, we're pretty chill here in this stream here. Um, Mostly because, like, a lot of you that come over here from whatnot and, all the wonderful rules and stuff that I got to follow there. Here I have a lot less. I have a lot more freedom to do what I want to do. So, what do we got on the bench today? Well, I'll tell you what we got on the bench here. I'm gonna adjust my scope real quick, and then uh, we'll pull it up on the screen for y'all to take a look at. This is a customer watch. So yes, Tempo's getting paid for this. Um, but here's a customer watch. Now, let me preface a few things here before I get going. One thing is that this watch, I have already opened it up. Like, I've taken the case back off and pulled the movement out and stuff. I kind of set it back together, but it's in pretty rough shape. So it took a while to get it all separated out and stuff. So I wanted to do that off camera just so that we could get it done and opened up for y'all so you didn't have to sit and watch me try to struggle with the opening and stuff of it. So all right, well, I guess without further ado, we should probably get into this thing, huh? Here we go. Bloop. And there we have it. This is a World War II era Tudor, Tudor watch. If you're wondering, like, dimensions and stuff, like dial size, we'll just grab the caliper here. Grab a caliper, and without crown, we're about 29 mil. About 29 mil on it without crown. For my freedom units, as the fat electrician calls it, comparison. Let's grab a. Let's just grab a quarter. A quarter. Just to give you a comparison there. There you go. About the size of a quarter. So. Alright, well, let's pull this casing off. And as we can see, there is corrosion up in this thing. Now, another preface here. I did start soaking this case a little bit before the stream. In fact, it soaked for a couple hours. I did get this spring bar to kind of start wiggling a little. This one, on the other hand, she tight. So we're going to have to cut these spring bars. Well, this one I might be able to get off. That one we're probably going to have to cut. Not a big deal. We just got to be careful when we do it. Just got to be careful. Now, here's the plan before we go too far. There is a plan with this, and I'm going to be talking with the owner as we go along. But the plan, right as of right now with this watch, is to not completely do straight up freaking polish it out, make it look absolutely gorgeous. As of right now, the plan is to, clean up this kind of crap inside here and just make it look like it's an 80-year-old watch. Right now, that's what we're planning, is just leaving that patina in there and make it look like it's an 80-year-old watch. So a lot of the cleaning and stuff I'm going to do off camera. I'm not going to do for you guys. Right here in this part is just to show you kind of some teardown stuff and give you a little look here. Now Tudor, people are going to be like, what the hell's a Tudor? Tudor is actually a subsidiary of Rolex. So this is an expensive watch. Now, here we got the dial and movement and case back. We have a sub-seconds hand, and if you remember any of me talking about any of the Geneva that we took apart, the sub-seconds hand's a big thing when you get in, for pocket watches. So same kind of deal. It was a little bit easier to do than to put the seconds hand right in the middle. So we have a sub-seconds hand on it. I'm gonna have to locate and source a seconds hand for it. That's might take a minute. We do have, and I haven't put my finger cots on yet, but I will. We have right here this loom that's in these hands. If you look close, let me move that light a little bit. You see where it's like missing like color right here? Yeah, so this loom is going to be radioactive, because it's left this like burnt in look and stuff. It happens. That's not going to be able to clean up very easily. Again, we'll talk with the owner of the watch, see what he wants to do. Honestly, I kind of like it, the shadow there of it. But again, it's going to be up to the owner how he wants to proceed. Anyway, I'm going to put on finger cots here real quick, because we're going to start going deeper. Going in. We're going in. But yeah, I want to protect myself here from knowing that from the era and everything that this is going to have radioactive loom. Now, what are we going to do with that loom? Well, I did talk to the owner a little bit about it, and he can actually text me as we're going through this watch, and we can discuss things as we go along, because I do have my phone next to me. I think what we decided, though, is that we are going to knock the loom out of this thing and leave it without loom. Kind of that whole, it's an old watch, so like it's been knocked around a bit, been maybe taken apart a time or two to, clean up something in it or whatever, and, that whole thought of, the loom kept kind of falling off here and there and stuff. Because I could put new loom into it. I could buy a syringe of antique white or milk white, they also call it, loom, and reloom the hand, or the hands, I should say, and it would look cool. It really would. But what I worry about is by doing that, we're not gonna have it'll look too good, I think. And honestly, if the owner of the watch wants to just try it out to see what it would look like, you know what, we can probably do that too. That's going to be all up to him. I'm missing a finger cot. I'm reusing some from earlier, so I just kind of flung them around when I was done with them. But I can just grab a new one too. Oh no, there it is. There it is. Alright, well, so let's get into this. Now you're probably thinking, wow, you're taking up all this time, you're charging this guy by the hour. Well, the good news is for him, is I'm not going to charge him as much right now while I'm streaming, because, well, come on. I'm streaming. Alright, he just texted and he says, I like the no loom idea. So there you have it. No loom. We're going to knock the loom out and leave her be. So if the loom falls, when the loom falls out, when we're doing all this, which it will, trust me, it will, we're not going to worry about it. but I'm probably going to do it over the garbage because I want it not laying on my floor where my dog could lick it up. All right. So, like I said, I did kind of pull this out of the case earlier because it sits down inside the case back. So here we go. Master, that would be the company that they cased up this watch. Now, looks like we have some scratching up in here. So I'm going to move the movement off to the side. I want to get down in there and just see, because sometimes those scratch marks can be a watchmaker's either signature or even a date. I've had a few like where they put a date in them. In fact, I did one that was like a 1945 or 48 or something. So we're just going to kind of try to move that around a little bit. Struggling with it, but it kind of could be 7, 8 to 40. Is that what it looks like? Or 7, 5 of 40? I see we have some damage here to the case back. We'll have to fix. No, that's not damage. That's down here. That's where you pop the case back off from the front. But there's also some damage over here too, it looks like. But this is probably the worst of it. And this is part of the process, just inspecting, figuring out what you got, what's going on. So no, I like to leave a lot of this patina. I mean, we will stop the rust. All right, we're gonna use some rust inhibitors to stop any rust from coming through, and then we'll make sure we get it all coated up and stuff so that it doesn't rust any further in the future. All right, well, look at this. Here's our dial. Now, we're looking at these hands and we're seeing a lot of rust going on. I think what's going to happen with the hands is also they'll probably go through the rust process to remove that rust. Well, it converts the rust into an inert substance. Um, so I think that's what we're going to go with. My guess is that I can't find my flashlight again. You know, some days are better than others, I think. My guess is, though, it's kind of looking like these numbers might be, or used to be loomed. And I'm going to try to keep that loom on there as best I can. I think it's got that cool look going to it, that vintage look. Can't find my flashlight again. Oh well. It's a UV light, so we could see if it does glow up at all, but that's okay. All right, well, you all ready to see the back of this watch? I'm sure you are. I know there's nobody in here besides the owner, but there'll be people later that'll watch it. So I'm sure, without further ado, we should probably flip this watch over, right? And a boom. You know, looking at the other side, you would think, oh God, this is going to be bad. But, I mean, we do have a little bit of penetration of rust right here on the click, which means there might be a little bit here underneath the ratchet. And since we have penetrating rust coming down on the winding stem, I won't be surprised if we have a little bit of rust there in the crown wheel. But here's the best part about this movement. That balance is still good. And I can see the escape wheel at least oscillating, which means that the pallet fork is at least ticking a little bit. So we still have some movement within this watch. That's got to be the best part of this whole thing. Now, these little screw, there's a little screw there and a loose screw over there. That's what we're going to be going through to get the dial off. But anyway, I suppose we should pop these hands out. Let me rotate right. We'll go up to the 12 o'clock-ish position. And let's see here. I'm trying to decide which tool I want to use. If I want to use the Presto tool or the levers. I've never had great luck with the Presto tool. This is the Presto tool. So you just kind of set it down on top here. Over top of the hands. And you won't be able to see this, but yeah. Presto tool, not so tooly. Let's go to the levers. Take it or lever it. Let's see. I want to keep checking my phone here. Just want to make sure that I look up every once in a while and I see a blinking blue light. So I want to. My phone's on silent, so I just got to look up and see if it's blinking. Just see if I've got a text from our owner or not. Because I know he's watching on the big screen, which means that he can't just type it in the chat. All right, well. Whew. Here we go. Levered. They've been levered. They were a little tough. They were rusted on, definitely. But we have levered them away. Now this will go through my ultrasonic cleaner to clean up this whole movement, which obviously I'm not going to do on the screen because, well, that'd be dumb. But, alright, here we go. Let's grab a little container for these. Yeah, and he was telling me that he's been trying to get somebody to work on this watch for a long time now, and nobody was willing to take on this project. I can understand the apprehension to take on this project, just because, I mean, there's a lot going on here, you know? I mean, there is a lot going on here. So I can understand people's apprehension. In fact, when I got it even, I went, ew, I don't know, maybe I should just send this back. I mean, that was my first thought. And then I went, you know, I'm not one to back down from a fight, so let's do this. Let's do this a thing. So, alright, now what we need is these little screws. I'm going to get down closer here so you guys can just see how these screws look. I want to show you. I'll have to pull the scope back up here just so that I can get to it there. But these screws, let's see if we can see better on this one. Maybe, maybe not. Well, anyway, they got a flat spot on the one side that we want to get towards these. These are the, right here, this is the dial pin that comes through. So they have a flat spot on the one side that we want to get towards that pin so that we can pull on both of those so we can pull that dial off. You don't have to remove the whole screw or anything. You just got to turn it just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Doop. Glad you didn't send it back, he says. No, nope, nope. Nope. Now, a lot of professionals, I being, I wouldn't say completely professional. I mean, I work professionally, a little bit more than amateurly, but a lot of them would wear like some type of a thingy on their face, loop or something. I don't. I just straight up use the my scope, because I have a pretty nice scope, as you could probably tell. And my people that do coins with me, they really know I got a nice scope. Alright, let's just work around this here to get this dial up. Come on. Alright, here we go. And here we're in, right there, Rolex. We have another date. 6/6 of 80 is my guess. Or is that, no, that's 80. So maybe it was 60, but it's probably the last time this watch was opened by a watchmaker. Ugh. That's still, think about that 80. I mean, that's 44 years ago, or almost 44 years ago. All right, so we're in. We're in like Flynn. Here we are. Here we got our keyless works right here. We got our hour on the outside and minute hand on the inside. Right here, this is our watch dial washer. Our clutch, sliding clutch, everything over there. I like that we're using this whole piece right here. We got this is our spring right here. I do like that. That's a really cool feature. I don't know what happened here. It's like somebody ground that edge off, which is really weird. I mean, I'm thankful we don't see it once the case is on it. Once it's cased, we don't see that edge because I can show you right now. I can just set the case over it. Let me just set that case down. So once that, well, that's not going to work. I'm going to have to put the case up a little, hold this up a little. But once you get the dial in there and the case is up in there and everything, you really don't see that edge, which I'm very thankful for. Because, yeah, that is definitely ground off. Alrighty, so let's, I guess we'll, without further ado, let's get into it here. Let's pop this little, and this is the washer. I've talked about these before. It's just a little piece of brass. It's the dial washer. All it does is pushes against the dial to hold this wheel down so that it doesn't skip. It continually can interact right here. So that's all it does. So boom. First gear off. Oh yeah. We're going in. Alright. Now, I don't have a Canyon pinion puller because they're damned expensive for a nice one. So what I do is I have a nice, solid, hard, wonderful pair of tweezers, and I choke way up on them, and I grab either side and give it a little bit of squeezy, put my finger over top, and give a little pull, because these are press fit. But there you have it. As long as you're careful about it, you don't need the expensive tool. As long as you're careful, you don't need that expensive frickin' tool. You can do it without it. I mean, it would be cool to have one. They're really neat. All you do is put it over top of there and just squeeze the handle and it pops it off for you, which is really cool. But if there's, I can tell you right now, if there's any tool that I would love to buy as a watchmaker, it would be a spring winder kit. That'd be my number one tool, mainspring winding kit. For a good one like a Bergeon, we'd be good at like $600. I mean, they're expensive. They really are. You might be able to find a used one off eBay for a decent price. Oops. Let me see here. Bergeon mainspring winder. Let's see. Of course, you'd want a full set. Here's one. New with tags. New. Plus, shipping from the United Kingdom for 80 bucks. I mean, I wouldn't have to have a new one, but boy, it sure would be nice to have one, wouldn't it? But can't afford it. Maybe someday I'll get one. All right, so I'm gonna leave this stem and crown in here. I'm gonna flip this over now. As a lot of you know, I don't like working out of my holder except for when I reassemble. I like working on the pad, and that's fine. You don't have to work out of the holder. Um, I like working off of the pad. I have more room to move around and stuff. I can get in a little bit easier. But okay, what's the first thing we're gonna do? For those that have been watching for a while, they know we're gonna find our tools, and we're gonna pull the balance off because this here is one of the most delicate parts of the whole damn watch. You get that hairspring in there, and if you bend that hairspring, guess what? You're buying a new hairspring. And that's no fun. Trust me, I've had to do it. And so if you can avoid it, it's best to avoid it. So that's what we're going to do. Pull this screw out. Grab our little tweezers. Try to make sure that I'm on screen for all this. People always ask me how small are these dang screwdrivers and screws and stuff. They're really small. Without the scope, I barely can see them, it seems. But there we go. We have the first screw out. And we're going to go over here. There's a little slot here for me to get a screwdriver into to kind of lever up this balance. They do that on purpose because otherwise there's posts that this balance actually sits on. I need a little bigger screwdriver for this. There's posts that this thing sits on. There we go. Kind of a little bit crazy there, but that's all right. Everything's good. We're gonna go in this way, and there we go. And that actually gives you a quick look at that hairspring right there. That is small. And now you know why they call it a hairspring. So I'm just gonna grab it like so, and set it off to the side into a little container with its screw. More containers, please. All right, all the containers. Unfortunately, my big containers are being used up right now with the the Seiko 5, the Geneva, the Rico, and Swatch irony. The one you're not supposed to be able to take apart. Yeah, I finally took it apart. All right, now that the balance is out, I feel a little more comfortable. The next most delicate, I think, part of this is going to be right here. And I'm going to get down there so you guys can see again. If I was working on this without showing y'all, I'd be flying through this. I mean, we're, 30 minutes in? I'd be almost done taking this apart now. So, but here is the pallet fork. This is what bounces back and forth with the balance to move this escape wheel. See how that kind of moves on there? Now, before I pull that balance, I want to see if I can let down this mainspring the correct way, which would mean we're going to push this crown back in. Maybe. And we're going to kind of put a little bit of wine to it. Just a little. And I'm going to push that click out of there. And then, oh, and then I'm going to let the crown go, just rotate through my fingers. Just slowing it down ever so slightly. So this is all the power that was stored up in that mainspring that's underneath here. You don't, if you can help it, and I'm not saying you can always, but if you can help it, you don't want to pull this pallet fork out with all that power in there because it'll just go, and it comes down really quick. But it also could damage things that you don't want to damage. So, all right. Now I gotta go back up so I can. Well, I can probably get to that screw right there. I'll just pull it off camera a little bit, but right there. This is our pallet fork bridge. All this does is hold the top pivot of the pallet fork. That's the only thing this little bridge does. Alright. Now, just gotta find an edge, maybe. I know my coin peeps are like, are we gonna go back to coins ever? For God's sakes. It's been long enough. And yes, we are gonna go back to doing some coins in the future here. I just talked to one of the guys that I get a lot of my coins from, and he is shipping, or has shipped, they should have been here already actually, some coins. So either tomorrow or Friday we will be doing a mail call video showing off what kind of coinage we got and stuff. So, alright, we finally got that pallet fork bridge out, which means that we can pull the pallet fork. Now I'm gonna kind of inspect this stuff as we go through it too, because I want to see if there's any kind of damage going on here. For instance, we want to check the pallet fork and see, and I'm gonna put this microscope right down into that pallet fork so we can really see it close up, because I want to show you what we're looking for here. Alright, I know it looks fuzzy, just give me a minute. Alrighty, now let's move some light around. You see that little crystal right there on the edge of the pallet fork we're looking right at? We want to look at that, make sure it's not chipped, and the other one, make sure it's not chipped. If they were, and you want to look at that pivot right there in the center of the screen. Make sure that pivot's not broke. If the pivots are broke, you're replacing the pallet fork. If one of those crystals is chipped, technically speaking, you can put a new crystal in, you can shellac one in. I've never actually done it, and I know there's a lot of people out there who do tons of watches that don't do it either. They literally just replace the pallet fork. These parts are pretty easy to get, so I did take a little quick look around, and being that it's, Swiss made and, well, basically a Rolex, these parts aren't too bad to come across. So I'm going to pull that pallet fork out now, and I want to look down in here. So this is one of the jewels. So this would be the jewel that there's the pallet fork jewel right here. This is the one that our balance sits in, and you see the little bit of rust coming through. That concerns me, that there could be rust on our balance pivot. That concerns me a lot, actually. So let's move our movement out of the way. And since I have the balance right next to me here still, let's just plop the balance in here. And let's just move it around here a little bit. And we do have a little bit of rust right there on the edge of that pivot. But being that it was pivoting, I'm not going to go too crazy. Hey, Rosie, how you doing? Being that it was actually doing the oscillation, I'm not going to go crazy about it yet. Hopefully we can get it cleaned up in the ultrasonic. I'll put the balance back on the main plate when I put it into the ultrasonic just to keep it from, getting damaged or anything. But, yeah, that does concern me a little bit. Not going to lie. And since this watch has so much, obviously, water intrusion, we want to make sure we're taking a good look at everything, right? Got your patches today. So happy. So you like all the extra stuff I threw in for you? All right. Well, I guess it's time. It's time. It's time to set that aside. And it's time to grab another container because it's time to start pulling apart. Good. Yeah, I looked. I saw. All right, time to start pulling it apart. I am going to start. I think I'm going to start with the ratchet wheel and the crown. I could start with bridges, but I think I'm going to start with the ratchet wheel and crown wheel. So, here we go. Do 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 do. I'm sure I will be. I'm sure I will be. Alright. So we'll get this ratchet wheel out here first. Maybe. Ho 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 ho. There we go. Oh yeah. I thought you might like that. And there we are. Ratchet wheel is now out. Now this is your click spring. Um, I'm gonna leave it in for right now and wash it this way, and then I'll deal with it afterwards because click springs like to go flying, and I don't want to deal with it. All right, now it's time for the crown wheel. Fun little thing with the crown wheel. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Nope. Righty loosey, lefty tighty. So it's got reverse threads on it. So right now, normally I'd be tightening a screw, but that actually loosens this one. And that's out. Oh, there's always usually a collar right there we'll take out. All right, there we have that. All right, down to the main plate. Or to the bridges and main plate, I should say. I gotta take a quick little break here. I am gonna put the little banner up for a minute, and I will be right back. somebody at the door. Normal crap that happens around here when I need to be doing other stuff. So I will be right back. Sorry about that. It was a friend that stopped by kind of unannounced, and I hated to do it, but I had to brush him off. So it's like, dude, call next time. Jesus. Unfortunately, it was the guy that was supposed to be my best man at my wedding, but oh well. Because he's in the military, or was. So, anyway. We're busy. And we're back. And we're back. And hopefully my voice is coming through again. Yep. Good. Alright. Alright, here we go. Alright. How many more times can I say alright? Alright, well, I'll take out this bridge. Little train wheel bridge. Maybe I guess I'd call this a quarter bridge. Yeah, I was too. But when I forgot to put my finger cots back on. I took my finger cots off when I answered the door. Before I answered the door, I was like, that might look a little weird. People be like, whoever was there, I was like, they might be like, what the hell? Dude's wearing little condoms on his hands. And then you never know what they could think after that. Anyway, last I checked, it was like in Vegas, I think. So, I don't know. I don't expect it here till Friday at this point. This watch here, for instance, came out of Missouri, which, honestly, the dude and I could have probably drove halfway each and met up somewhere and got it to me faster than what the post office did. This should have been here like last Wednesday. And it was in West Fargo last Wednesday at the hub, but it took till today to actually get it. Basically, I call and light a fire under somebody's ass to get it to me. So, yeah, I could have just been like, dude, why don't you just meet me halfway and we could have probably had this thing. Shoot, I could have probably had this thing apart and damn near back together by now in the amount of time that took. As long as we don't find any catastrophic part failures. Okay, finger cuts back on. Alright, here we go. Zoop, 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 zoop. Now we need to do a good job on this watch. Whether we do, no matter what, we have to do a good job. But talking with him, it sounds like looks like we had a little bit of power in there that didn't want to come out because a little bit of probably dried oil or something. But that's okay. Talking to him though, it sounds like he might have some pocket watches too that need some work. I'd like to really have this guy as my customer for a long time. Do some really good work together. So, alright. We've seen most of the train wheels now. This is our escape wheel down here. We already talked about that a little bit. And I'm going to go through and inspect all this stuff off camera because I really want to take my time inspecting it all. Make sure that we have everything just perfect. Good pivots and everything. Alright. This here is going to be our seconds hand wheel. But, ooh, it's actually, it was a little bit stuck in the movement. It did come free, but it was a little stuck in there. But in the grand scheme of things, this is going to be your third wheel? I think this is the third wheel. Anyway, just wanted to flip it over and take a look at that pivot. But, I mean, everything, I guess, looks good. It was just a little stuck down in there, but that's okay. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this one out without pulling off the other bridge. We're just going to kind of give a wiggle wiggle. Yeah, we did get it. Okay. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Let's watch it wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Beautiful. It's a little bit heavy, over 100 watts. Holy crap. Over 100 watches. Wow. Well, maybe I can convince the owner of this watch to buy some of them too. He buys a lot from me. Great customer. Really, really, really enjoy that he found my stream and that we're doing some business together here and stuff. I'm very happy with that. All right, well, I guess we'll get this would be called the barrel bridge, just because the barrel's under there. And that's what contains our mainspring. As you notice, I still have the winding crown in. I'm going to leave that in for right now. I do not want to remove that quite yet because it's holding in a bunch of parts on the other side. So, and I do appreciate my coin folks hanging out with me here doing some watch stuff. That's really cool. There's seems to be in a lot of interest crossing back and forth. I got some watch people that are really interested in some coin stuff, and I've even got a couple coin people now that are kind of interested in the watch stuff. So they may not wear a watch, they may not, you know, ever want to buy a watch or whatever, but just the whole repair aspect of it, some people are really kind of taking a shine to. So I'm happy about that. All right, now we're just gonna kind of lever this bridge up. Looks like we have a train wheel coming with it, so that's lovely. Kind of a little bit stuck in the pivot there. There we go. There we are. And this is our barrel bridge right here. We do have a little bit of rust in there. I'm not too concerned with it. Most of that will come off in the wash. Alrighty. Come here, you. There we go. That would be our minutes hand, if you were wondering. That's what is the minutes. Clicked on that, so. This is our barrel. This is where our mainspring is. I'm going to take a look at this mainspring and see what kind of condition it's in. If it's in good condition and it's a newer spring, you know, we'll probably keep it. I mean, they always recommend replacing them, but you know what? For me, anytime I can save a customer a little bit of money, because, I mean, honestly, a mainspring isn't horrible expensive, but, I mean, they get up there. I mean, the last mainspring I bought and put in was, you know, with shipping and everything, was like $45. So, while they're not huge expense, any little bit you can save when you're doing a work like this. And I've said this before. You guys know what I charge. $75 an hour. This watch is probably going to be 3 to 4 hours already just in labor. So if I can save the customer 40, $50 on not replacing something like that, why wouldn't I? As long as it's, I mean, I'm going to obviously check it out, make sure it's in good condition. Of course, I can't see any little hairline cracks or anything, but, you know, honestly, I think with how much wind it had in it, it was just holding, I really think this mainspring is going to be fine. I will take it out and I will clean it and re-lube and all that stuff. But yeah, I think it'll be fine. All right, so this is the watchmaker side of the watch. We are done. The only thing left would be this little screw right here. And that screw is for the, actually goes with the keyless works on this side of the watch. It comes out right there. And that's what holds your stem in. Now this watch probably is going to need a new winding stem. Just because I was looking at it really closely and it looks like it has some really deep rust in it. But yeah, that's alright. We'll get there. Alright, well, let me move that part bin out of my way. And grab another one. Because this one will be for the keyless works. Alright, here we go. Wrong screwdriver. This keyless works looks really simple, and I really like that. I did the one, I put the keyless works and stuff back together in the Seiko 5 last night. Yeah. It took me, with the day date and the keyless works and everything, took me 3 hours, I think. There's a lot going on, a lot of little gears and stuff, just a ton of stuff going on. I was up all night. That's why there was going to be a stream earlier, then there wasn't a stream because I was up all night and then I was going to stream and then I was like, oh god, I'm so tired still. So then I went back to sleep. Alright, I'm just going to kind of cover this up just a little bit because I got to get this tension off of this little spring here. And we don't need nothing going flying. We don't need things going flying. There we go. There we go. Perfect. No missiles would be great. And we do have a little bit of spring under there. That's alright. Got this little spring right here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take another tool. And this is where it gets a little tricky because you got to have pretty good dexterity to be doing this. Because I'm going to take another tool and I'm going to set it right here. To hopefully hold that little guy in. Or down, I should say, so it doesn't go flying. A little nervous here. Let's go over here. There we go. I've had these things go flying and you never find them. Never. Okay, not never. I did find one. I actually found the one for the Elgin laying on my desk the other day when I was cleaning up. I was like, holy crap, I found a spring. And that spring was... This spring's huge compared to that spring. That spring was like wafer, just hairline thin. So... Alright. Get that spring out of there. Perfect. Alright. Now we can get this little gear out of here. Great. Pull this one out. Excellent. This little gear here is the one that transfers your winding to the ratchet or to the crown wheel, which transfers it to the ratchet wheel. So good to know, right? Yep. Okay. Now we're gonna grab this little lever. I'm just gonna swing it out of the way probably for right now. Come on. Alright, and we want to grab it over here by the pivot. There we go. Just like that. I like showing the stuff back on the video because obviously I'm going to be looking back at this video to see what the heck I did. Alright, so you see how this works now? So this little cam right here, let's call it, moves back and forth with that rest of that mechanism to move this clutch in and out to determine whether it's winding the watch or setting the watch. Alright, let's loosen up this screw so we can remove the winding stem. And here it is. And there it went. And there's our clutch mechanisms right there. You know, so far, honestly, as much rust as this little watch has on it everywhere, it is actually in relatively good shape. It really is. Now, I'm going to pull that screw out the rest of the way. A lot of times I won't take these out. I'll leave them in because there's no point of taking them out all the way. But in this case, there is. Because we have so much rust infiltration on it that I really want to make sure that we get everything clean, backside, front side, upside, downside. So, and we can see just the light layering of rust all the way across this. Now you're probably thinking, well, what about this right here? Well, this is a cap jewel. I'll deal with this after when we're putting it together, which I'm not going to be live streaming. All right, folks. I am not going to live stream putting it together. I want to concentrate 100% on putting it together, not talking about what I'm doing. Just because this is kind of an important watch. It's an expensive watch. You know, go look up a Tudor watch, wristwatch on eBay. You're not going to see anything probably for less than about $2,000. All right. So anyway, there you have it, folks. I did take it all apart now. Oh, I haven't taken apart the barrel. Let's take apart the barrel. Hold on. Well, let's look at this winding stem real quick, too. We have some rust down here, but you know what I'm thinking? You know, here, let me try something here. I got some cleaning solution next to me. Let's see how that does. Tweezers. Because this thing will fall right through the cleaning solution. And we'll rinse it off in just some isopropyl. Let it dry for a couple seconds while I put the lid back on the cleaning solution. Oh, I suppose I could get the pins off of the case too, but... Alright, here we go. It's already looking a lot better, huh? Starting to pull off some of this gook. Loosening it up. So, that'll be good. It's already looking better. It's going good, buddy. Going good. We're working on a kind of an expensive watch here, bud. So, yeah, it's looking better. Once it comes out of the ultrasonic cleaner, we'll know for sure what we're dealing with here. But for now, let's just set that aside and bring in the barrel. I'll bring the scope down a little bit. Now, I've talked about this before. This is the lid side. This is the barrel, lid, arbor, and then the mainspring's down in there. The best way I have found to remove the lid, because it's a press fit, is I take that nice strong tweezers again, put it on either side of the barrel on a nice solid surface. I do cover the whole thing, but I just give a little push on the tweezers, which pushes the arbor up into the lid and in turn removes it. So then I reach in with the tweezers to hold that arbor in place while I remove that lid, because we don't want that spring coming flying out. And now let's pull this arbor out. It's in good shape. That's always good. So let's move that out of the way. Now here's our spring. Right there's our mainspring. Look at, this is why we want to open this up. You look down in here. You see this? This is actually oil that's just got really bad. This is our mainspring. This is where all that power comes from when you wind up your watch and stuff. This is like your battery. All right. Now I'm taking kind of note here of which way this winds in and everything, because when I have to hand wind this back in if I don't need to replace it. So I need to remember which way it goes. Now I'm going to bring that scope way up again, because to do this work, I kind of try to focus this for y'all. To do this, we get in here with the tweezers, and we're gonna kind of grab onto this spring here and get our thumb underneath it right there, right? And then we're gonna go to the other side and get our thumb in, and we're gonna just kind of walk this out with our thumbs. And these are under incredible forces. So if you're doing this, be damned careful. You can put your eye out, literally. I'm not even joking about that. I mean, this is a very strong spring under a lot of tension. I mean, I'm not doing anything. I'm just moving my thumbs back and forth, getting out of its way as it's coming out. There we go. And it is out. And it is broken. Son of a gun, look at that. It is broken. Right there. There's a piece of the mainspring still in the barrel. So it's not a big break, but it's this fold over that's supposed to go back. And let's get the scope back down in there again, so I can show you guys this closer, and the owner actually, because he is watching. So this is what's supposed to swing back off of that spring. Get that little piece out of there. Maybe not. And let's see, I gotta get that out. There we go. It's what grabs on to the edge of the barrel right over here when you're winding the spring up. So that it stop, when you're winding it up, you feel that it kind of stops or whatever. That's when it's completely tight. You see that edge right there? Yeah, that's what it stops up against on that little barrel right there. And that part is broken off, which really shocks me, but it is. And the other thing is this is an older spring. I would have thought last time this was serviced that they would have put a new spring in, but they did not. This is the carbon steel, blue carbon steel spring. As you can kind of see, they have bluish tinge to it. These have not been used in service since mid-40s. So this spring could potentially date to the watch. Say that again. This spring could potentially date to the watch. So we're going to have to get a new mainspring, which means this is going to take a little bit longer than I wanted, but hey, it is what it is. Um, uh, I will be sending this mainspring though back with to the owner because I mean it is part of the history of the watch. While usually you'd throw that away, most watchmakers would. This client really wants the history of this watch kept as close as they can. So I will be sending this spring back to them with the watch, just so that they can, maybe keep it with the watch. Show, here's possibly one of the it's probably the original spring, honestly. If it's not, it's probably that it would be new old stock, maybe that somebody shoved in there. But yeah, there's the little piece that broke right there. Never use a new old stock spring. The new springs are made of a white alloy. They called them back in like the 60s and 70s. You'll see on a lot of watches, they'll say unbreakable mainspring. Well, they do break, but they don't break as often as these ones did. These get fatigued very easily from winding, unwinding, and then they just crack. So, there you have it, everybody. All done tearing it down. I am going to have to go through and assess everything, clean it, blah, 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 all that stuff. But, I guess, God, I keep saying that I'm done, but I forgot we still have this thing to deal with. I don't know if either side's going to let loose, but we'll try to pull a spring bar off. It might be easier just to cut these. Get a clipper and just cut them, but we'll see. Ooh, that one went. Look at that. Look at that. And this is a spring bar tool. That's what this tool is. There you go. There's one of the spring bars out. We will not be reusing those, and I will not be sending that width to the owner because it's just a spring bar. I have lots of them. Ooh, we're getting lucky. It's coming out. This is why I was soaking this thing earlier. It's because I was hoping that the spring bars at least would come out nicely, or nicer. Ugh. Well, there you have it. Let's see. Thinking I might have a text from the owner. That's old, yeah. That is old. Anyway, so there you have it. I'm gonna do a lot of cleaning and stuff on this. And then I'll have to research out a spring for it. And like I say, I probably won't bring you guys back for the reassembly, just because. What time is it here? 7:17. I probably won't bring it back for the reassembly just because I want to really take my time on this thing and get it right. So I got to research out a spring, and I got to research up a sub-seconds hand. So, and I got to talk to him about what kind of band we want to put on this. I would go with a classic black leather personally, but I guess that's up to the owner. So, and we got to get a crystal for it too. So there's a lot to do, but thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you guys all enjoyed. Please make sure you're smashing that like button. Sharing this out to anybody you think might be interested. Subscribing, commenting, all those good things. And as always, you know what it is. Have a good one. Bye, folks.